Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how to do SEO for a tiny website that doesn't have any visitors or money. What are your thoughts?
Sure. So the biggest thing is when you're a tiny website, it's not all about just building a shitload of links and trying to compete that way. It really comes down to pick a niche. As a tiny website, you're not going to compete with the big guys who are broad because you don't have authority. And when I mean pick a niche, don't pick a niche like online marketing or SEO, right? Those are too broad for a brand new website. I'm talking about a good example of this is, let's say you're going after the SEO field. A niche could be, for example, Brian Dean from Backlinko. That's his main specialty. That's what he focuses on. That's how he built up his traffic. And now if you look at his content, it's not just about backlinks. And that's fine. Why? Because he's built up the authority over time. So the big thing that you need to focus on, finding that really solid niche within that space that you want to go after. And then later on, you can broaden up. But that's where I would first start.
One thing I would recommend is start with content, right? The two main factors for ranking well in Google, it's been mentioned multiple times on this podcast, content and links, right? And if you're starting out, you just focus on, content. You start building relationships with people. It's slow going. I remember yesterday I was doing a Facebook Live with a bunch of other entrepreneurs, and one girl has a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then we're talking about podcast growth, organic traffic growth, things like that. And the number one recommendation, it's boring, it's not sexy, but it just it takes time. Content takes time. If you're going to do SEO for a tiny website, that's what you can do. You can focus on content, and then also based on Neil's point, you should niche down on your content too. So let's say you're trying to start like an SEO company in Los Angeles. You might focus on building a Los Angeles SEO page, make it really in depth, and then focus on acquiring it kind of, localized links too. You're not trying to go really broad. You get a few links there, you're going to rank well for keywords like Los Angeles SEO. And then you're going to do well in your niche. And then from there, you can start to expand out. So think about Apple as a company. They first started out with their first computer, right? After they got that nailed down, they expanded. Same thing with Google. Started with search. Now they're doing other stuff. They're trying to extend life. They did Google Glass and it failed. They're doing all this other crazy stuff. But you start small first and you go out. You don't have to think about conquering the world when you're first going.
Yeah, and it's not about conquering the world, as Eric mentioned, and that's a bad thing that companies start off with. They're just like, I want to rank number one for all these terms and just start crushing and get so much organic traffic. It doesn't work that way. It takes a good solid 3 to 6 months. It takes over a year, especially if you're going after big, large head terms. So if you're starting off, take things slow and easy. When you're doing the content, don't focus on number of pages, focus on quality. So instead of having one page that's 1,000 words, make that page 5,000 words, 6,000 words, and continually expand upon it, right? And then when you have a really detailed article, you can then do outreach to all the other players in the space who have similar articles but aren't as detailed. You then go to Ahrefs, ahrefs.com, put in the URL. It'll then tell you who's linking to your competition who has mediocre content compared to that really in-depth post you wrote. And then from there, you can then hit each of those people up and in essence beg for a link, just being like, hey, Eric, I noticed you linked out to Brian Dean from Backlinko. He has an amazing article on backlinks. I actually have a similar article, but mine covers 30 more tactics that Brian didn't go into detail with. Feel free to check it out. And if you like it, add the link to your page. Cheers. It's that simple.
Speaking of Ahrefs, we have a little affiliate link if you guys would be so inclined to give us a commission. It's growtheverywhere.com/Ahrefs, AHREFS as in sugar. You're not going to get charged extra or anything like that. We're just testing it out. The other thing I'll mention, if you're looking to get started with link outreach, I do recommend using a tool like Neil and I have talked about BuzzSumo quite a bit. So that's BUZZ Sumo, buzzsumo.com. And then you can also combine that with a tool like Pitchbox, which will help you with the outreach process and will help you track the numbers to see just how successful you are. And there's a bunch of other tools out there, but I've seen a lot of SEOs using Pitchbox, and we're looking into that right now. And BuzzStream is something you can also look into on top of that. Neil, anything else to add?
Yeah, last but not least, when you're doing SEO for a small site, Think of Wikipedia. The reason Wikipedia ranks, and I know I talked about this, really detailed content. And that was my last point. I can't emphasize that enough. I actually did a study where I was looking at why certain sites rank, and I took the personal finance industry and Google Hummingbird, which was their most drastic update that Google released. They did it where tiny niche sites that are really thorough on a topic tend to rank the highest. So if you're new and you're starting off, that's what you should focus on, because that's what's going to do the best for you and your website.
And that's it for today's episode of Marketing School. Actually, one more thing to add. If you're interested in looking at how these big sites or these niche sites do well, there's a couple of 1 million backlink studies that we've been doing. So we're actually releasing one on Lyft this week. And we did one on Udemy and Airbnb. So you can check those out. You can just go to singlegrain.com and then just type in like single grain Airbnb or something, and then you'll find it. But anyway, that's it for today's episode of Marketing School. We'll see you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.